Teacher Talking Sports, what it does, what it do, how we live in. After each and every week of the football season, I take a look at what I call the fantasy stars from the week that were mostly unowned. So in order to be eligible to be on here, the player must have been owned in less than 25% of ESPN fantasy football leagues entering the week. Each week, I take a look at one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, and one tight end that excelled despite going mostly unowned. So let's get into it. The Week 5 fantasy stars who were mostly unowned. Starting at quarterback, we got Jimmy G. Jimmy Garoppolo was owned in 11.2% of ESPN leagues. For the first time in 3 weeks, it's not Geno Smith. He would have been the quarterback, but he finally went over the 25% threshold. In his third start of the season, Jimmy G threw for multiple touchdowns for the first time on the year. His 253 yards passing are also a season high as the 49ers easily defeated the Carolina Panthers. Another 49er, this running back, is Tevin Coleman. Coleman may not even have known he's back on the 49ers. Last season he played for the Jets. This was his first game action. Got 8 carries, had a touchdown, 3 catches, 44 yards, and a touchdown. Played in just 28% of offensive snaps, and some of that did come in garbage time. But it was nice to see Tevin Coleman get some work. Really hasn't been necessarily fantasy relevant since 2018 or 2019. Looks to be the backup behind Jeff Wilson, although when Elijah Mitchell comes back, he may go back to not really seeing much time. Other running back is Los Angeles Chargers' Joshua Kelly. Kelly seems to have supplanted Sony Michel as the team's primary backup as he received 12 touches, 10 carries, 2 receptions, had a rushing score in their 30-28 win, which came early in the second quarter to cut their deficit to 14-10. 2 wide receivers, starting with Dyami Brown. Brown had just 1 catch on the year entering Week 5, and he only caught 2 passes in Week 5, but he made the best of them, totaling 105 yards for 2 touchdowns. The third-round pick in 2021 really hasn't done much in his career. Had just 12 catches as a rookie despite starting 6 games. The other wide receiver is longtime vet Randall Cobb, now in his 12th season in the NFL. Cobb had 7 catches for 99 yards after totaling just 10 catches in the first 4 games. Cobb, most of the Packers receivers, it's hard to tell who's going to be their top receiver each game. Sometimes it's Allen Lazard. Last week it was Randall Cobb. And the tight end, you're going to see a lot of people trying to pick him up because even though he's eligible at tight end, he's not necessarily a tight end. That being Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill had 9 carries for 112 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also threw a pass, his first pass of the season. Did start some games at quarterback last season, which was a 22-yard touchdown. Hill also had 81 yards rushing in the opener, but only had 35 yards rushing in his following 2 games. So it remains to be seen if Jameis Winston and Michael Thomas will be back for Week 6. Will that affect how much playing time he receives, as Hill was on the field for 30% of offensive snaps, and to do what he did in that little amount of time is absolutely incredible. So there you have it, the Week 5 fantasy stars who were mostly unowned. Tell me, what do you think? Are any of these guys worth picking up? I know in my fantasy league, I have TJ Hawkinson on a bye. I put in a waiver request for Taysom Hill. Do I expect to get him? No, and I hope I do, because otherwise the tight ends are bottom of the barrel. I probably might end up picking up Daniel Bellinger from the Giants if I do not get Taysom Hill. But Joshua Kelly could definitely have value. We know Austin Eckler did not want to receive as many touches as he did last season. He stated that. So maybe Kelly continues to see more playing time as the year goes on. But there you have it, Week 5 fantasy stars who were mostly unowned. Don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.